Pine Street, even the name sounded eerie. It was a place that seemed to exist in a different time, a different reality. The very mention of it sent shivers down the spines of those who knew its secrets. The street was shrouded in a perpetual gloom, the towering pines on either side blocking out the sun. Their dense canopy created an almost tunnel-like effect, making it feel as though you were stepping into another world, one where light struggled to penetrate. Their branches, gnarled and twisted, seemed to claw at the old Victorian houses that lined the street. These trees had been there for centuries, their roots digging deep into the earth as if anchoring the street to its dark past. Houses that stood like watchful sentinels, their paint peeling, their windows like vacant eyes. Each house had its own story, its own secrets, whispered through the creaking floorboards and the rustling leaves. Locals whispered tales of a dark history. They spoke of the street's cursed beginnings, of the tragedies that seemed to befall anyone who dared to live there, stories of tragic accidents, unexplained disappearances and restless spirits. Old newspaper clippings told of families torn apart, of children who vanished without a trace, and of shadows that moved on their own. The air always felt heavy on Pine Street, thick with a silence that was more unsettling than any noise. It was as if the very atmosphere was charged with the weight of the past, with the echoes of those who had walked the street before. It was the kind of silence that made you strain your ears, expecting to hear something, a whisper, a sigh, a distant cry. The silence was alive, filled with the unspoken, the unseen, a whisper on the wind, the kind of whisper that seemed to carry words from another time, another place. It was a sound that made your skin crawl, that made you question your own senses. A creak from within the houses, a footstep behind you. These sounds were a constant reminder that Pine Street was never truly empty, that it was always watching, always waiting. But there was never anything, just the oppressive silence and the sense that you were being watched. It was a feeling that settled deep in your bones, that made you look over your shoulder, expecting to see a shadow that wasn't there. Pine Street was a place where the past and present coexisted, where the line between reality and nightmare was blurred. The Campbell family arrived on Pine Street in the dead of summer. Their moving truck, a splash of bright yellow against the drab backdrop, seemed out of place. 12-year-old Ethan Campbell peered out the window, his stomach churning with a mixture of excitement and unease. This old house was going to be their new home. His parents had snagged a deal too good to pass up, a fixer-upper they called it. Ethan wasn't so sure. The house loomed over them, its paint chipped and faded. The windows, like the houses around it, were dark and empty, as if the house itself was holding its breath. The first few days were uneventful. The unpacking, the constant hammering as his dad tried to fix the plumbing, the musty smell that permeated the house. It was all new and strange, but not exactly scary. Then the strange occurrences began. A book flying off a shelf in the dead of night, the sound of footsteps in the hallway when everyone was asleep. Ethan tried to rationalize it, drafts, old houses settling, his imagination, but deep down, a seed of fear began to take root. It was the little things, really, a cold spot in the middle of the living room, the feeling of being watched even when he was alone. He started seeing shadows flitting at the edge of his vision. One night, lying in bed, Ethan heard it. A whisper, faint and indistinct, coming from the wall. He sat up, his heart pounding. He pressed his ear to the cold plaster. The whisper came again, closer this time. It sounded like his name. He scrambled out of bed and ran to his parents' room, throwing open the door. They were both sound asleep. Ethan hesitated, not wanting to wake them, not wanting to admit his fear. He went back to his room, the whispers echoing in his ears. He didn't sleep that night. Section 5. The Lurking Presence. The events escalated. Doors slammed shut on their own, lights flickered, objects moved inexplicably. Ethan's parents dismissed it as pranks, but Ethan knew better. There was something else in the house with them, something unseen, unheard, but ever present. He started seeing it too, a fleeting glimpse of a dark figure at the top of the stairs, a shadow moving just outside his bedroom window. He felt a constant sense of dread, a feeling that something terrible was about to happen. Section 6. The Attic's Secret. The attic had always been a place of mystery and intrigue, filled with forgotten relics and the whispers of the past. One quiet afternoon, while exploring the house, Ethan stumbled upon a loose floorboard in the attic. The discovery was unexpected, and it piqued his curiosity. Curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to pry it open. He carefully used a tool to lift the floorboard, revealing a hidden compartment beneath. Underneath the floorboard, he found a small wooden box, its surface covered in a thick layer of dust, as if it had been untouched for decades. With a mix of fear and excitement, he carefully brought the box down to his room. His heart pounded in his chest as he wondered what secrets it might hold. Inside the box, he found a collection of old photographs, yellowed with age. Each photograph seemed to tell a story of a time long past. Alongside the photographs was a tarnished silver locket, its intricate design hinting at its age and significance. The photographs depicted a family, a man, a woman, and a young boy. They were all dressed in clothes that looked like they were from another era, adding to the mystery. The family in the photographs wore antique clothing, their expressions frozen in time. It was as if they were waiting for someone to uncover their story. The boy in the picture had the same piercing blue eyes as Ethan. It was an uncanny resemblance that sent chills down his spine. As he held the locket in his hand, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. The connection between him and the boy in the photograph was undeniable, and it left him with more questions than answers. Ethan spent the rest of the day pondering over the photographs and the locket. Who were these people, and what was their connection to him? The attic's secret had opened a door to the past, and Ethan was determined to uncover the truth. He decided to start his search for answers by visiting the local library. He combed through old records and books, hoping to find any information that could shed light on the mysterious family in the photographs. After hours of searching, he finally stumbled upon an old newspaper article that mentioned a family with a tragic past. The details were vague, but it was a start. Ethan knew he was on the right track, and he felt a renewed sense of determination to uncover the attic's secret. Section 7. The Night of Terror. That night the nightmare began. A violent storm raged outside, mirroring the terror that was unfolding within the house. Ethan woke to an ear-splitting crash. He ran to his parents' room, but it was empty. He called out for them, but there was no answer. Panic surged through him. He ran from room to room, his heart pounding in his chest. The house seemed to be alive, the shadows dancing menacingly on the walls. He could hear his parents' screams, faint and muffled, coming from somewhere within the house. Section 8. Unveiling the Truth. He followed the sound of the screams to the attic. The door creaked open, revealing a scene that made his blood run cold. His parents were huddled in a corner, their eyes wide with terror. Standing over them, bathed in an eerie green light emanating from the locket, was the ghostly figure of a young boy. The boy turned, his piercing blue eyes locking onto Ethan's. He spoke, his voice a hollow whisper. "They took it from me. They took everything from me." He held up the locket, his expression filled with rage and sorrow. "Now it's mine again." Section 9. The Aftermath. Ethan woke up in his own bed. The storm had passed and sunlight streamed through the window. He could hear his parents downstairs, their voices cheerful and normal. He raced down the stairs, relief washing over him. It had all been a dream, a terrible, vivid dream. Or had it really? He glanced at his hand. The silver locket, cold and heavy, lay in his palm. Section 10. The Lingering Fear. Life on Pine Street returned to a semblance of normalcy. The children played in the yards, neighbors exchanged greetings, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. It was as if the darkness that once loomed over the street had been lifted, allowing the residents to breathe easy once more. The strange occurrences ceased. The whispers faded and the shadows no longer seemed to follow Ethan. But the fear remained. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the windows, brought back memories of that harrowing night. The silence of the house was deafening, a constant reminder of the unknown. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was still being watched, that the boy with the piercing blue eyes was still out there, lurking in the shadows. The boy's image haunted his dreams, turning peaceful nights into restless battles with his own mind. Ethan often found himself staring out the window, searching for a glimpse of those haunting eyes. He kept the locket hidden away, a chilling reminder of the night of terror and the secrets that lay buried beneath the floorboards of the old house on Pine Street. The locket, with its intricate design and cold touch, seemed to pulse with a life of its own, whispering secrets that Ethan dared not uncover. He knew with a certainty that sent shivers down his spine that some secrets are better left undisturbed. The weight of the locket in his hand was a constant reminder of the past, a past that he wished he could forget but knew he never would. The fear was a part of him now, woven into the very fabric of his being. And some houses, no matter how bright the sun shines, will always be haunted. The old house on Pine Street stood as a testament to that truth, its walls holding stories of sorrow and fear. The sun's rays could never penetrate the darkness that lay within, a darkness that would forever linger, casting a shadow over all who dared to enter.